The guy who murdered his family and bragged about it on Discord. Our story unfolds in Toronto, Canada, but it begins with a dream of immigration from the bustling streets of Bangladesh. Our narrative begins with Monirus Zaman, a diligent man from Bangladesh, and his wife Momtaz Begum, who hails from India. Together, they embark on a new life far from their homelands. Monirus and Momtaz were a couple with grand dreams for their future family. They decided to leave their native countries to build a better life elsewhere. 2 years later, they settled in Toronto, Canada. 6 years after their move, they welcomed their first son, Menhaz, and 2 years later, their daughter Melissa joined the family. Monirus and Momtaz were exceptional parents. Momtaz, in particular, was very close to her children. Known for her generosity and kindness, she often helped those around her, whether it was driving them to appointments, covering the bill at meals, or cooking her famous dishes from India. She was beloved and respected in her neighborhood and among the Bangladeshi expatriate community. Monirus, though more reserved than his wife, was equally esteemed. A humble and proud man, he was a devout Muslim who cherished his family above all. Working as a taxi driver in Toronto, his dedication and knowledge of the city earned him multiple Employee of the Month awards and recognition as one of the company's top drivers. After moving to Canada, their determination led to slow but steady success. They first bought a small home on McCowan Road in Scarborough and later acquired 2 investment properties, a condo in Scarborough and a house in Danforth. Momtaz took on the role of managing the rentals for their properties, and over time, the family's wealth increased. As the Zaman family grew, Momtaz found herself overwhelmed with managing 2 children and 3 properties. To help her, her mother Feroza moved from India to assist, allowing Momtaz to focus on her children and maintain a healthy work-life balance. By 2006, the family had purchased a larger 4-bedroom house in Markham, a city with a vibrant Bangladeshi community. The prevailing belief was that success in life required a career in a field like engineering or medicine. Monirus and Momtaz embraced this view and encouraged their children, Melissa and Menhaz, to pursue these paths. Melissa aspired to be a neurosurgeon, while Menhaz was expected to become an engineer. However, their journey to success was not straightforward. Melissa, the more rebellious child, often clashed with her parents. Despite her academic achievements, she challenged their authority by sneaking out and indulging in drinking and smoking. Her father's strict discipline sometimes led to conflicts so severe that neighbors would call the police. Menhaz, on the other hand, was shy and reserved. As his mother's favorite, Momtaz doted on him, going out of her way to cater to his needs. She would drive him around, cook for him, and even deliver homemade lunches to his school. The pressure to meet his parents' high expectations weighed heavily on Menhaz. In his free time, he found solace in video games, particularly MMOs like Perfect World, where he could create an avatar and interact with players worldwide, free from his usual insecurities. For Menhaz, the online game Perfect World became a sanctuary. He devoted all his free time to it, finding solace in the virtual world. The only other place he frequented was the mosque with his father. As he approached the end of high school, Menhaz shared exciting news with his parents. He had been accepted into York University's mechanical engineering program. This news delighted his parents, Monirus and Momtaz, and cemented Menhaz's status as the family's pride. However, this outward success masked the immense pressure Menhaz felt, driving him deeper into isolation and his online life. He played a modified version of Perfect World, connecting with friends through Discord. This community was a positive space where Menhaz could be his authentic self, contrasting sharply with the tense atmosphere at home. While Menhaz retreated into gaming, his sister Melissa rebelled against their parents, even facing arrest for shoplifting, although her charges were dropped in exchange for community service. She eventually moved out to live with her boyfriend, but the tension she left behind weighed heavily on Menhaz. As Melissa distanced herself from her parents' expectations, they focused more on Menhaz, boasting about his supposed engineering future. But Menhaz harbored a secret. He wasn't attending York University. Instead, he was enrolled at Seneca Community College, and his grades were poor. His life outside academics was limited to video games, and he had also become an atheist, a fact that would deeply upset his devout parents. Menhaz felt trapped by his family's control over his life, which extended to his online relationship that his parents disapproved of. This lack of autonomy led him to seek refuge in the game-perfect world and its accompanying Discord community. Initially successful in school, Menhaz's grades plummeted as he became engrossed in gaming, eventually leading him to abandon his university classes altogether. While he pretended to attend York University, Menhaz would actually spend his days playing games at a campus cafe, then working out at the gym before returning home to game late into the night. His parents remained oblivious to the truth. As Menhaz's isolation grew, he hinted to his online friends about leaving the game and made dark jokes about going to jail, which no one took seriously due to his reputation for edgy humor. Over time, his jokes grew more offensive, resulting in temporary bans from the gaming community. By 2019, Menhaz had maintained his deception for 4 years, and with a fake graduation date approaching, the pressure mounted. As July 28 neared, his behavior online became increasingly disturbing and sinister. After changing his online name to Subhuman and feeling as if he was stoned to serve life, he began to joke about taking his own life. He talked about how it felt to be consumed by worthlessness, perhaps due to his normalized toxic behavior in the past. However, the people he chatted with barely took any notice of these messages. If anything, they most likely saw a sad kid simply looking for attention. While Menhaz fretted and began to spiral even further, his sister was beginning to mend her relationship with their parents. After moving back in with the family, she herself actually began to attend York to study science. From an outsider's perspective, the family seemed to be happy and successful with new beginnings and an increasingly positive future. Realizing that he was about to lose his title as the golden child, one member of the family was about to carry out the unthinkable. The date was July 27th. It was a Saturday and the day before Menhaz's alleged graduation ceremony. Throughout the morning, all other members of the family headed out to work. Monirus hopped into his taxicab, Momtaz headed to a property, and Melissa headed to a part-time job at the grocery store. To put it shortly, the day began like any other workday. At around 3 p.m., Menhaz's mother and grandmother headed upstairs for a nap, which was just part of their daily ritual. It was during this time, and while knowing their schedule, that Menhaz menacingly made his first move, thus beginning a terrible series of actions that would change the family forever. Silently breaking into his mother's bedroom, he struck her over the head with a crowbar, knocking her unconscious. Afterwards, to make sure he finished the job, he cut her throat before walking out of the room and back down to his computer. Opening up Discord, as he had done thousands of times before, he prepared to send the first of multiple graphic messages for all of the members of the community to see. He posted a picture of his mother's bloodied body with the murder weapon lying next to her. Shortly after, he went upstairs again, crowbar in hand, and did the very same thing to his grandmother. Just as before, He calmly walked back downstairs, opened Discord, and then posted the gruesome evidence of his crime. Those more accustomed to Menhaz's dark humor assumed that this was likely just another sick joke, albeit fake. However, other people who were not so familiar with this behavior were quite alarmed. Both photos appeared to be extremely realistic and seemed unlikely to be a hoax. After these photos, Menhaz posted a message to say, "I killed my mum and granny so far, waiting for my sister in 5 minutes and my dad in an hour." It was at this moment that other gamers started to take him seriously, recognizing that the situation was potentially an ongoing murder spree. By now, several Discord users were convinced that they were experiencing multiple homicides right in front of their eyes. And even worse, there was nothing they could do to stop it. Gamers scrambled to try and figure out who this man was to try and stop any further murders from occurring. But Menhaz had long been both coy and covert. Nobody knew his name, age, or even the country that he lived in. One of Menhaz's closest online friends, named Junior, was messaged by several other people within the Discord community. These messages spurred him into action, and he asked Menhaz if these images were in fact real. Menhaz responded by saying that sadly they were, and that furthermore, he was going to kill both his father and sister in the coming hours. Several agonizing minutes later, Melissa returned home to an eerily silent house. Only after she closed the door and walked further into the house to investigate was she met with Menhaz. Her brother attacked her in the same manner as he did their mother and grandmother, with a crowbar in hand. After her death, Menhaz once again took a photo of her body, this time privately sending it to another one of his friends on Discord, named John. He captioned the message, saying that his sister had fought him for almost 10 minutes, both crying and screaming the entire time. Another private message read, "I literally told my parents my uni graduation was July the 28th. I couldn't have delayed it any longer. I did this because I don't want my parents to feel the shame of having a son like me. I'm a pathetic coward and a subhuman. Since I'm atheist, I believe there is no afterlife, so I was scared to die. I just wanted them to die so that they didn't suffer knowing how much of a pathetic subhuman I was. It's all very selfish and just pathetic." Menhaz then sent John more pictures, including a picture of the murder weapon and, even more disturbing, a selfie with the blood-stained knife. Horrified, John sent those photos to the rest of the group, proving that Menhaz had gone through with a third murder. Members of the Discord community were sensibly saving them immediately, ensuring that they could build as much evidence against Menhaz as possible. Menhaz went back to playing his game as if nothing had happened, waiting until around midnight when his father eventually came home. The young man was ready to catch his father off guard, and after Monirus walked into their garage, he too was bludgeoned over the head. This was met with a familiar knife afterwards. As with all other members of his family, Menhaz then posted a photo to the Discord community, who knew that despite their best efforts, they had failed to stop his monstrous plan. Replying to one of the users, Menhaz wrote, "I've just slaughtered my entire family and will likely spend life in jail if I manage to survive. I hope I made you laugh at one point or another. I hope you will remember the good times. I will miss you all. I'm sorry, do you want the pics?" Menhaz sent countless messages to his friends later that night, apologizing for his actions while sharing images of the murder scene. But not all was lost in finding their killer. In fact, they were just about to get lucky. One of the members of the community eventually worked out how to acquire Menhaz's IP address. An IP address is a unique identifier for devices connected to the internet. It can sometimes reveal their geographical location. By tracing an IP address to a home address, one might alert the police to the whereabouts of an online contact. With this method, the location of an individual named Menhaz was narrowed down to Toronto. A Discord member from Minnesota contacted his local police, who in turn reached out to the Toronto Police Department. After sharing Menhaz's name and IP address, the officers began their investigation. While the friends kept the police engaged, one asked Menhaz what he planned to do with his remaining time. "Eat junk food, visit my girlfriend, drink, and smoke," he replied, despite never having touched alcohol or cigarettes before. It was only a matter of time before the responding officers tracked the IP address to Menhaz's family home. Surprisingly, for someone so engrossed in gaming and computers, Menhaz hadn't used a VPN to conceal his location. It seemed that this golden child wasn't as clever as he thought. 12 hours after the first murder, officers were at the Zaman residence. Looking up, they saw a figure in the front bedroom window. At that moment, the officers had little to go on, only knowing that an online community had made some disturbing claims. But Menhaz was ready to surrender. After sending a final Discord message, "The police are here, goodbye," he descended the stairs, opened the door, and surrendered to the authorities. "Whose home is this?" they asked. "My family's," Menhaz replied. When asked where they were, his chilling response was, "You'll see." As the officers searched the silent house, its grim secrets were uncovered. Monirus and Melissa were found first, followed by Momtaz, and finally Rosa. The Toronto Police Department immediately arrested Menhaz on suspicion of homicide and took him to the station for processing and interrogation. During his interview, Menhaz displayed a chilling detachment as he described the events, showing no sign of remorse. He was charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of second-degree murder. The evidence was overwhelming. The perfect world community had been tracking the case and had preserved every message sent by Menhaz. They had carefully documented all the media shared during his spree, leaving no doubt of his guilt. In court, Menhaz addressed the audience. "I apologize to anyone hurt by my actions, particularly those who knew my family, friends, and loved ones. I never imagined causing such pain." In November 2020, at 24 years old, Menhaz was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole for the first 40 years. His earliest chance for freedom would be at 64 years old. Now, he remains incarcerated, serving his sentence for the lives he took, lives of those who loved him dearly. At the time of their deaths, his father Monirus was 59, his mother Momtaz 50, his grandmother 70, and his sister only 21. Despite his parents' sacrifices, he repaid them in the most horrific manner. All that remains of the Zaman family is a lone, twisted individual with the blood of his kin on his hands. This is indeed a very disturbing and gut-twisting case. But which part bothered you the most? Do you think he should have just confessed? This must be the most gruesome case ever. Or is it? Please like and subscribe if you have enjoyed our video, and watch out for our morbid chronicles. Until the next time, see you soon.